Dream big. Dream bigger than you ever thought possible. Today is the day. Your multiple sclerosis will start to change. You may ask me, a life without multiple sclerosis? Is that even possible? I can't conceive it. Yes, it is possible, and you're gonna do it. Hey, it's Dave. You always watch me and hear me saying it's a journey. I've come to embrace this journey, and the act of helping you follow your recovery journey has become my purpose. I am so thankful that I've discovered this path, this journey. In the past, I've always been told that the damage that MS had caused would be permanent. I think most people without MS, outside of our little MS bubble, may think that not feeling something is better than feeling pain. But when you are on the inside of the MS bubble, we know the symptoms are very nuanced. And it's much more than pain. It leads us to wonder what's really going on. Sure, symptoms could be temporary due to an acute flare or a relapse and accompanying inflammation. But then we hear from doctors that the symptoms can become permanent. Like it's like axonal damage to our brains, no going back. Phallic left me a comment explaining she was told by her neurologist about her disability. It works, but not for you. Because I was diagnosed with primary progressive MS. Phallic, even though you have primary progressive, it's not forever. It's not permanent. Now, I'm not gonna debate anyone. I'm not gonna argue. I'm not the kind of person who does that. I take a step back and see the whole process is futile. So believe what you want. But from my perspective, from my experience, years and years of experience, there shouldn't be a debate. There is no wondering if recovery is possible. It most certainly, absolutely is possible. If you're seeing me right now for the first time, I understand your reluctancy. Outside of my videos, you don't know me, even though I've told you all about myself in past videos. You might have commented once or twice about something, and you received a response back from me, but we haven't met in real life. You haven't spent a day with me. You can't see this optimism, this beautiful, beautiful, wonderful, joyful, amazing, this life-changing optimism. Each and every day, I'm always happy. Science has discovered that there was a virus in my past that caused RMS. It's called the Epstein-Barr Virus, and it is so common. It is one of the most common viruses in humans. Practically everyone on the face of the planet has it. But in most, it stays dormant, causing no symptoms. Other times, especially when you're a teenager, it might cause mononucleosis, also known as the kissing disease. But beyond that, for you and me, our genetics are arranged in such a specific way that it the virus short circuits our immune system and causes them attack our myelin in our heads and spinal cord. Hence, multiple sclerosis. Thankfully, we live in a wonderful, amazing time. There are medications now that can eliminate EBV. But it's temporary, and it's not because the medicine's not good. It is good, it's how the body works. The virus hides out in our B cells. The body will regrow the B cells after the medication has wiped it out, and that takes 6 months. So it's not the medication, it's just the body will just continuously regrow the B cells. So it's a perpetual cycle. Regardless though, the roller coaster of MS has already been set into motion, and there's no way to go back to the time before MS. But there is a wonderful way. We can control our future while living with MS. I will have MS for the rest of my life, the disease. But it's inside of me. It'll never go away, but I don't feel it, and I have no symptoms. So in a way, it's just MS in name only. I've stopped suffering from MS, and I want you to stop suffering too. The first step is to get on one of the medications that removes the Epstein-Barr virus. The first time I took mine, the drug I take, Ocrevus, I was cautious. I was a little bit skeptical. I didn't know how wonderful it would work. But now I've had 2 infusions so far. Having my 3rd one in 2 weeks. I see that just this simple fact of eliminating the Epstein-Barr virus has been the gateway, the remyelination gateway that is right in front of me. It's the first and much needed step. It is the step that's needed for all the other 5 to work. Unfortunately, most people stop there. Not because they don't want to reverse the damage MS has caused, but because they don't know what the other 5 are. I've told you about the 5 essential elements: weightlifting, sleep, UVB light, glucose iodine solution, and following a 1 meal a day diet. They are the 5 steps. You can start today, even before you get on an anti-EBV drug. Start them. I've been doing this for years, and I was doing it long before I ever took Ocrevus, and I felt massive changes. What I want to talk to you today about, though, is I want to talk about commitment. You don't see the power of the lifestyle of following the 5 essential elements yet. Commitment is a funny thing. Look at anything that requires it. Off the top of my head, I'll go with marriage. What makes a marriage work, I think, and last a lifetime, in my humble opinion, I see the most important ingredient of a good marriage is commitment. Commitment to grow. Commitment to adapt. And when times are rough, commitment to constantly change and pivot when things don't work right. In a marriage, this is obviously a dance between two people. But between me and my MS, it seems like I'm doing all the dancing. I had to be the one who did all the adapting. I had to be the one doing all the pivoting, which is fine. I did it. And I can now show you what you need to do. You might be tempted to think that my journey was a straight line from 0 to 100, but that wasn't the case at all. My first step I took before everything, my first step I took back in 2013 was weightlifting. I remember in the early years, I would lift for a couple months. I would feel very, very slight changes, but they were real. And sometimes would lessen ever so slightly. But then I'd forget. I don't know why I would forget, but I would stop for a few months because I didn't feel the positive progression I had before. But the one thing I'm so thankful for was this little bird I had up in my head. He would always chirp inside my ear telling me about how my MS would start to progress, and I had to start weightlifting again or MS would catch up with me. I now call it my recovery cycle. I would begrudgingly pick up my weights again. Eventually, I would get really excited about it, then drop off again, then start up again, and drop off again. And it was from 2013 to 2017. This is sadly how my life went. But the drive, even though it ebbed and flowed for a long time, it always came back to commitment. The commitment I had was unique. I didn't realize that I needed that commitment in my early years of weightlifting. But now, that commitment is so ingrained in me. It is so much more and has redefined my life. I heard a great way to describe it the other day, and it's perfect what I want. It's more than recover, or it's more than commitment. It's a recommitment. Recommitment. I always talk about passion so much these days. That's what I'm talking about, recommitment. At one point, I felt weightlifting was stalling. I had adopted a pretty regular routine by then, but I wanted to speed up my recovery. I realized there had to be something more than just simply weightlifting. Go to the next step. The entire time I've had MS, I've struggled with sleep, terrible sleep at night. And terrible sleep at night and terrible fatigue during the day. Why does it have to be that way? Wide awake when I wanted to sleep, and then I was dead asleep during the day when I really wanted to be awake. Was it something I needed to solve? I felt that way. I always felt it was holding me back, holding my progress back that lifting had started. I suffered with a few sleep problems directly linked with MS. But the biggest was not linked to MS. It affects a lot of people. It was early morning awakenings. Even if I had only been asleep for 2 or 3 hours, I'd wake up. You can imagine what that did to my MS symptoms the next day. It was a bad case of circadian rhythm disruption. The frustrating thing is that at the end of our nightly sleep cycle, the circadian sleep cycle is rapid eye movement. When it comes to REM, this is when myelin formation happens. Even though they call it the sleep cycle, and it cycles through it a couple times during the night, our longest REM sleep time is at the end of the night, the last stage. So my early morning awakenings practically prevented all my ability to achieve remyelination. I could run down the list of things I do now to achieve long-lasting sleep, but it's too much. That's why I maintain a sleep playlist with numerous videos. I recommend watching them and take them on as you feel. Things like melatonin supplementation, light blocking masks, pink noise, deep bass, binaural beats. I employ them all and I love them all. But getting back to my comment chain I had with Falik, she responded to me shortly after saying, "What do you think? Are they right? Do I need to give up? I feel completely destroyed. Is MS discriminating against me with primary progressive? No, Falik, absolutely not. Never give up. Your future is going to be big and beautiful. Promise you." I'm going to go on to my next step. It was late 2018. The previous year, 2017, was a watershed moment. That year, I felt something wonderful happening inside of me. I had the feelings most of us have. At that point, I had MS for so long that it made me bitter and skeptical and resentful. Sadly, I missed out on truly appreciating it because of that. But what I couldn't be was negative about the unmistakable feeling that wasn't going away at all. I had come to realize that MS recovery is not a singular thing that would do it. I had weightlifting and sleep. My eyes were wide open to another team member. I discovered while researching hormones of all things. I became very interested specifically in thyroid hormones. It has been well documented that thyroid hormones are directly involved in remyelination. It's even been suggested that it is so important. If I had normal levels growing up, maybe my MS would have never happened. But I never look back in sadness and regret. I only look forward with optimism and hope. Iodine is a crucial micronutrient to generate thyroid hormone, and the only source of it is dietary, from food. The way I figure, I've never been able to use what I get from food to maintain my myelin, obviously. So I started supplementing with an iodine mixture called glucose iodine solution. After pretty extensive testing on myself, I found 4 drops of it, of the 2% kind, works best. Traveling down that hormonal hole led me to see something so blatantly obvious, I can't believe I missed it. It all started reading an article. I read it in 2018. It was published in 2010. It's called UV radiation, not vitamin D, might limit multiple sclerosis symptoms. It starts by stating the obvious things MS patients have heard before. MS is rare in the tropics because people synthesize ample vitamin D from exposure to the UV radiation in equatorial sunlight. And MS is more common in the higher latitudes of Northern Europe and North America, which is why there is an assumption that higher vitamin D levels can help prevent people from developing MS. But what they do say in the article is that nobody has scientifically shown that there's a direct connection between vitamin D and MS. That made me buy a UVB lamp, and since then I use it every other day, and I've never looked back. The article says that many questions remain, but they might never be answered. Let me ask you, do you want to spend the rest of your life hoping that they'll answer it? Or do you want to just start using a UVB lamp and go on with your life? They say that it's quite possible that UV exposure will have a number of other mechanisms and be involved in hormonal circuits, and that UV radiation is playing a mysterious role in MS. I always look around for an answer to that mystery, but regardless, it suppresses the immune system and the MS attack. And you can find that in so many scientific articles. Fallot continued the conversation by saying, "Thanks. Words like yours encourage me." Well, you're welcome. I hope you do. I hope you're encouraged. I hope you continue. I hope you recover like I have. You said previously in the comments that you gave up your diet. I hope that means you are going to try to join all of us who now eat OMAD to fight MS. Dig around my channel and you will find a plethora of reasons, a plethora of videos that tell you that following a fasting diet, it works. You may want to check out my recent video about the AMP activated protein kinase. I'll stick a link up here. The enzyme, the AMPK enzyme, can promote myelin formation as a means to repair previously incurred loss of myelin. I continue to dig deep and uncover more and more about what we as MS patients can do to slow and eventually stop our MS. We might never be able to cure MS, but we don't have to live with MS. We don't have to live feeling its presence controlling our lives. So, MS would be in me, it will forever be in me, but in name only. There was a frustration I felt talking with Phallic. She stated a few times that she had primary progressive MS, and she was asking me if my essentials would work for her because of her PPMS. Having relapsing and remitting, I couldn't answer her for certain, but then by pure happenstance, pure coincidence, my friend Todd Rossman spoke up and gave her the reassurance I couldn't. He said, I have PPMS and started Steve's 5 Keys 4 months ago. There is hope. I have had many improvements and no progression since starting. You can do it too. Todd, thank you so much. Thank you. You stepped up at a perfect time. Is there anyone else who needs assurances? It doesn't matter what form of the MS you have, we're all in this together. Do you want to share your experiences so far? Do you see any benefits? Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss a video. Until the next one.